I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we get ready to kick off the second weekend of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Qualifying here today for tomorrow's race from Manasas, as we will, much like we did at Daytona, have the field split up into two groups. Top 5 from each group will take part in a final qualifying session. It will not be single car qualifying for the final session. It will be a final group qualifying session with the remaining 10 drivers, as heading out onto the racetrack will be drivers after Daytona that are 1st through 22nd in the owner points. All drivers in this group are guaranteed to make the show with the exception of one driver, and if you didn't tune into last week, we have a very interesting scenario as we look at the current points leader and defending Daytona 500 winner, Matthew Rodriguez. Now remember, Matthew Rodriguez made the Daytona 500 on speed, ended up qualifying into the field, and went on to win the Great American Race, but he is a non-charter driver. Well, after last week's victory, Haas Racing signed him for this week. Matthew Rodriguez is going to attempt, with that victory, he's going to attempt to try to make the playoffs, but it's going to obviously be a very tough task for a driver that has to qualify his way into the field every single week. Well, for the races that Haas Racing doesn't have anybody else signed, Matthew Rodriguez will be doing the driving duties over there. And then also races where a driver is lined up in the number 80 car, Matthew Rodriguez will be over in the number 17 out of Bishop Family Racing, that Ford Mustang. So Matthew Rodriguez is going to attempt to try and make all the races. He has to put down a very good qualifying lap here to make his way into the Manasas race. There are 3 drivers that are non-charter drivers that are attempting to make the race this weekend. We will see the other 2 in the second qualifying session, since the 82 didn't make the race last week. Oh, we got a wreck up ahead of Matthew Rodriguez. That was Keith Batson and Quentin Moore that just got together. They're probably going to have to go to backup cars. System that works here in the Duracell Cup Series is outside of Daytona. If you get involved in a wreck here in the qualifying session, you can bring out the backup car, and whatever lap you put down will still count. You do not have to go to the rear of the field for the starting lineup. But going back to the point I was going to make, the 82 with Trey Wright did not make the Daytona 500 last week, and neither did the 4 of Kyler Sustre. Sustre will be in the second qualifying group, and the 82, which is driven by former champion Jordan Lopez this week, will be in the second group qualifying. It will come down here to Matthew Rodriguez, his lap time. The other 2 drivers will have to try and beat his lap time. The top 2 fastest speeds of our go or go homers as far as lap times will make the show. Michael Norman in the 22, 3-time winner last year. He is top of the board at a 36.335 after getting a little draft off the 80 of Matthew Rodriguez, who in turn is going to get a little draft off the 22 here, maybe helping his chances of making the show. Michael Norman finished 6th last week at Daytona in the 500. As of right now, if the playoffs were to begin, of course with the format that we're going to have at the end of the regular season. Top 10 in points, regardless of if they have won or not, will end up making the show. Matthew Rodriguez, Jesse Turner, James Qualls, Laura Chung, Mike Tellier, even though he's running a part-time schedule, Michael Norman, Dylan Pote, Zachary Fitzwater, and Caleb Vogler, along with Cole Deaver, would have been the top 10 in points leaving Daytona. We won't see Tellier for quite a while. I think we don't see him until our next road course stop, I think. Either that or we're going to see him at Coke Zero Super Speedway. I'm trying to remember if we have a road course in between Daytona and Coke Zero, but I'm not 100% certain. Right now, Matthew Rodriguez is top of the board, 36-1-2-3. That is essential for him to try and make this week's race. Michael Norman is third. Second on the board is Reese Banks in the 44. Reese has had a very good start to the season. He, of course, finished second in the Clash back at Slinger. Top 15, 15th place last week in the Daytona 500 in his second full-time season. Saw him making his way around the defending champion, Charles Sanford, in the 03. There's Austin LaPlante. Finished 18th at Daytona. Right now he is 13th on the board. Now dropping to 14th. Charles Sanford right now in 18th position. Charles Sanford finished 19th last week at Daytona. Let's see what he gets here for a draft lap is 48 and the 44. Single file in front of him. Update on those two drivers that we saw get involved in that wreck there off of turn 2, even though we didn't go back and look at it, as Sanford jumps from 21st now to 15th. Quentin Moore and Keith Batson have gotten back out there in backup machines. Right now, Quentin Moore is 19th on the board of 21 drivers, and Keith Batson right now is up to 6th. See a gaggle of cars here. Jesse Turner in the 47. Turner, the runner-up last week in the 500 to Matthew Rodriguez. Will Goss in his first full-time season. Great run last week at Daytona in 14th. Zachary Fitzwater was 8th. And James Qualls finished on the podium in 3rd. He's at the tail end of this group of 4. In our second upcoming first round of qualifying, the second group, we'll see the drivers that did not fare nearly as well at Daytona as Laura Chung, former playoff contender from last year, got the Sports Clip sponsors on the 77 coming to pit road. Right now Laura sits 13th on the board. Laura Chung finished 4th in the 500 last week. Carson Gum, former champion, finished 11th at Daytona last week. Right now he sits top of the board, 35.908. He is the one of 3 drivers that has eclipsed the 35-second bracket, along with Matthew Rodriguez and Michael Norman, that are also part of this group. Carson Gum with the NOAA sponsorship. I've forgotten what that stands for. It's weather related, that much I know. And Carson just went faster again. Oh my gosh, 35.664. So right now he is looking like he is very much so going to be in the running for the pole position in the second round of qualifying if things don't change in the next 7 or so minutes. A couple of other drivers have jumped up into the top 5. RJ Bishop in the 98 is now up to 3rd behind Gum and Rodriguez, and right ahead of him, Rob Evans in the 65 is up to 4th. So the 65 and the 98 making some attempts to run for the pole position. Reggie Fogelman ahead of them, 16th last week in the 500. Rob Evans finished 12th, and RJ Bishop rather, finished in 13th. Pretty much wherever I say these drivers ended up finishing in the 500 is where they are in points. I don't believe anybody, nobody, even based off of bonus points or anything, nobody is positioned in a different spot points-wise from where they finished in the 500. The closest would have been around the 9th position, Caleb Fogler and Cole Deaver. Deaver led the most laps, so he had that bonus point. But that did not get him the 9th position from Caleb Fogler, even though according to our scoring, the two of them are tied. But it's got Fogler currently scored ahead of Deaver on the point standings as Rob Evans jumps to 4th. Reggie Fogelman now in 5th. That knocks Carson Gum out of the top 5 for the time being. There's Quentin Moore in the backup car. Right now he is last on the board. Cole Deaver right behind him. Next to last, 20th and 21st is where these two are at. So apparently in terms of a qualifying effort, a group of 3 or 4 will produce a lot more speed than a group of 2. So these two right now, they are destined to start at the rear of the field unless they're able to catch a group in these next 5 minutes and be able to lay down some really good lap times. Daniel Voiles has lost the group he was with. Right now he is 7th on the board and now drops to 10th as I think a number of drivers just leapfrogged him. Yeah, Sanford just jumped him. Austin LaPlante did. Reese Banks as well. Could have maybe a driver in here be able to put down a pretty good lap time. Looking particularly at maybe the 0-3 of Charles Sanford, maybe that 77 of Laura Chung, who just came back out onto the racetrack. Charles was actually faster last lap with a 35.622. Let's see if he improves on that here. Can he jump up into the top 5? 6.16. That puts him 8th on the board. Laura Chung in the 77. Let's watch and see what her lap time around this time is going to be. Right now she is 18th on the board. This group and then the group back there with Fogelman, Bishop, and Evans are kind of swapping the top 5 spots around as Reggie Fogelman just went top of the board, a 35.337. So the 24 right now is the fastest in Manasas as Laura Chung just jumped up to 10th with a 35.8. Try and find that 24 car. So you got a group there. Let's cover that group in just a minute. Oh, wow. Cole Deaver and Quentin Moore might have some pretty decent laps here. Quentin's going to clock in at still 21st. Deaver still at 20th, but at least they're with a group now. And Reggie Fogelman laid down that lap time as the leader of this group with clean air. So right now, it's Matthew Rodriguez coming off of pit road. Right now, Reggie Fogelman, Rob Evans, Matthew Rodriguez, RJ Bishop, Michael Norman are your top 5 as we're looking at Caleb Fogler, former champion of the series. Dylan Poteet right underneath him in the 31, new colors this week, the State Water Heaters sponsorship on his Chevrolet out of Fortnite Squad Racing. Keith Batson in the backup car there as they catch Matthew Rodriguez, and then former champion Chris Dollerton there as well in the 83. Right now Dollerton is 15th on the board. His Blue Oval automotive teammate Caleb Fogler is 14th. Keith Batson is 18th, and Poteet right now is 20th. This group just not producing a whole lot of speed right now to contend for a spot in the top 5 to move on to the second round of qualifying to battle for the pole. Right now Matthew Rodriguez sits 5th. He's on the bubble spot. If Matthew Rodriguez is able to get into the top 5 and run for the pole, I think it's pretty safe to say he's going to be locked into the show. He only has to beat one driver, whether that be Jordan Lopez or Kyler Sustre. If he does not advance into the top 5, it will come down to the comparison of lap times. Right now, Rodriguez setting the bar with a 35.405. Last week, when we had the qualifying at Daytona, all of the non-charter drivers took part in the second round of qualifying, so it was easier to be able to keep track of who was the highest. This week, with the fact that Matthew Rodriguez is number 1 in the driver points, he's in this group and the other two are in the second group, so we're just going to have to bear in mind, keep in the back of our minds that 35.405 and then compare that to the lap times put down by the other two go or go homers. Is Rodriguez in a precarious spot there, 3 wide. Chris Dollerton's going to back out of that. Quentin Moore's jumped up to 4th on the board, getting the draft off of this group. So Quentin, after having to go to a backup car after getting into a wreck with Keith Batson off of turn 2, you still see the skid marks there. That backup car apparently just as fast, and right now he's in line to run for the pole position. Rob Evans right ahead of him is in 3rd. And Cole Deaver is top of the board now. Deaver started on the outside of the front row last week at Daytona. He wants to get one position better here. Started on the pole position at Manasas. 35.244 for the driver out of S3 Motorsports. This team has brought a lot of speed here in the early portion of the season. Had the outside the front row start and brought it home 10th last week at Daytona. Trying to translate maybe a good qualifying effort into a good finish this weekend at Manasas. Maybe just that slight number change from the 0.8 over to the 3 could have been the difference maker, as nearing zeros on the clock right now. Our top 5, our fast 5, Cole Deaver, Reggie Fogelman, Rob Evans, Quentin Moore, Matthew Rodriguez. We'll see if anything changes here as drivers will complete their final laps. I don't think anybody's going to get Deaver's 35.2. As the red flag is displayed, I believe they have now stopped counting laps. And Deaver brings it around here. Let's see if they score this final run to the line for him. They do. Not going to be faster. Let's see if anybody was able at last minute to get Rodriguez. Knock him out of the top 5. Doesn't look like it. This group coming around, I think they're completing their last lap of the session. And nope, they're done. No scoring for this group. So Cole Deaver, top of the board here in Group A of round 1 of qualifying. Reggie Fogelman, Rob Evans, Quentin Moore, and Matthew Rodriguez are going to be your drivers. They'll be moving on to the second round of qualifying. RJ Bishop looks like he'll start 11th for tomorrow's race. Michael Norman 13th, Laura Chung 15th, and the rest of the drivers on down. Subsequently, on where they are positioned will be on the inside of their respective rows. Good run there for Quentin Moore after having to go to the backup car. Matthew Rodriguez having to make the show here, trying to keep himself up in contention for a playoff spot with his win in the 500 last week. And Cole Deaver with a chance to start on the front row in back-to-back races to start out the season. Which 5 drivers will join the top 5 here from Group A? We're going to find out in just a moment. Group B qualifying for round 1 coming up right after this quick commercial break. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Welcome back to Manasas as we get ready for the second group in round 1 to qualify for tomorrow's second race of the season for the Duracell Cup Series. 5 drivers have already moved on to run for the pole position. We've got 22 drivers in this group that will attempt to make the Fast 5 as well, and then those 10 drivers will take part in a 5-minute qualifying session, final round qualifying session to run for the pole. Couple of drivers already heading out onto the racetrack. Couple of Fords I saw there. 21 of Matt McIntyre, the 2 of Dylan Young, and there's one of our go or go homers here from this group. The former champion from Season 4, Jordan Lopez. So now for Jordan Lopez and Kyler Sustre, the other 2 go or go home drivers that are taking part in Group B, they are basically doing one of 2 things. Either they are trying to out-qualify each other here. Fastest of those 2 would end up getting into the show if neither one of them are able to eclipse a 35.405 laid down by Matthew Rodriguez. But if both of them are able to beat that lap time, then they both would make the show and Rodriguez would be out, despite the fact that Rodriguez made it into the top 5 to run for the pole position. So pretty much for Jordan Lopez and Kyler Sustre, they have to make the Fast 5. There's Sustre coming out onto the track right now in the Yamaha Chevrolet. Sustre failed to make the Daytona 500 last week, so he's looking to make his first career start in Duracell Cup Series competition. Benjamin Miles in the 25. Benjamin had a good run going at Daytona, but fell through the field late, finished in the 30th position. Looking to try and climb up through the point standings here this week. Like I said, our first qualifying session based off of the field being split up on driver points leaving Daytona. You had the drivers that did well in Group A, drivers that struggled here in Group B. Casey Hoyt in the 74, rookie out of Lake Effect Autosport. He, out of the Group B drivers, finished the highest at Daytona at 23rd position. New look for Levi McIntyre, Cheez-It sponsorship this season in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series competition. Levi ended up finishing 36th in the 500. It's a former teammate going around him there, and Jordan Lopez. Those two were teammates for a couple of seasons at Blue Oval Automotive in the early seasons of the Duracell Cup Series. Jessica Shelton got the Crown Royal black and pink livery this week. Saw with Cole Deaver, the S3 Motorsports cars look pretty sporty. Yeah, Deaver top of the board, Charles Sanford 13th. Got the other two S3 Motorsports cars in this group with Shelton and former champion Kyle Matthews, so we'll see how they do. Jessica Shelton ended up finishing 26th in the season opener at Daytona. Dylan Young was one of the first drivers out onto the racetrack in the 2 car. DeYoung was 31st last week at Daytona. Dylan Young, the only driver that did not find victory lane last year out of the Young Motorsports stables. Looking to remedy that here this season. Joshua Osborne just ahead of him in the 27. Osborne was 39th in the Great American Race. I think a driver we got to keep our eyes on this week at Manasas, Mitchell Collins in the 33. I think the Fords are going to be strong. Usually the Fords are strong at the next 2 venues on the schedule, this week at Manasas and next week at Las Vegas. As early laps clocking in right now, you've got top of the board Matt Haas in the 8 car. Let's try and find where he's at. Oh, he's in a group of cars right here. Kyler Sustre right now is 2nd, which would help him make the show. He has not eclipsed Matthew Rodriguez's lap time. Matt Rod had the 35.4. Right now, Kyler Sustre with a 35.7, but he is ahead of Jordan Lopez, who's at a 36.4 right now for his fastest lap time. So, as things stand right now, and things could definitely change, as we've still got about 9.5 minutes left. Right now, it would be Matthew Rodriguez and Kyler Sustre that would make the show for tomorrow's race. Matt Haas finished 40th last week at Daytona, former Daytona 500 winner. Track was not kind to him as he's trying to work his way around Connor Breton in the 88. Breton right now 4th of the 4 rookies in the rookie points. Mike Tellier, of course, not in the field this week, but by virtue of his top 5 last week, he is the rookie points leader. Will Goss 1 point back in 2nd. Casey Hoyt another point back in third, and Connor Breton right now fourth, but he is only 3 points out of the rookie points lead. Breton, Hoyt, and Gus all confirmed to make the show, as Kyle Matthews right now second, only to Matt Haas, 35.666. Yep, comments could be made about that. Trying to beat the second S3 Motorsports car to make it into the final round of qualifying. Ryan Brommer just ahead, right now holding a top 5 spot in fourth at a 35.617. That's actually tied with Kyler Sustre. Those two tied for third place. Scoring's got Sustre in the third spot, Brommer in fourth, and right now Zach Rogers is in the fifth position on the board. Let's try and find where he's at. He's got a couple cars on pit road there. Saw Matt McIntyre on pit road. There's the Digital Storm Chevrolet out of Evans Motorsports. Already one of those drivers of that team moving on to the second round of qualifying. Rob Evans was third in Group A. Levi McIntyre might have a heck of a lap here, getting the draft off the 6. No, he actually was slower, about 0.3 slower than his fastest lap. As for now, Zach Rogers, according to scoring, holds that fifth spot. Oh, just dropped to 6. Someone got him. Ryan Brommer just got him. Brommer. Oh no, Brommer just dropped to 5th. So who jumped up? Was it Breton? Breton, I think, might have jumped up to 2nd. Yes, he did. So that knocks Zach Rogers out of the Fast 5. Brommer now on the hot seat behind Kyler Sustre, Kyle Matthews, Connor Breton, and Matt Haas. So right here, this looks like this is the fast group. But these other drivers could get themselves formed up. Something could happen in this pack. As right now, 18th on the board for Jordan Lopez. Trying to get the 82 into its first race of the season. Trey Wright came up short at Daytona last week. Right now, Kyler Sustre hoping that Jordan Lopez cannot find anything to eclipse a 35.716, because right now Sustre is in line to not only make the Fast 5 to run for the pole, but also to make his first career Duracell Cup Series start. 82 is going to be at the back of this pack, so he's got some time to work with. Still got 6 minutes. Might have something to say about a spot inside of the top 5. Looking at the most winless driver in the Duracell Cup Series, Jose Mills. Right now he is 9th on the board. Nathan Ormond right behind him in 7th. Ryan Butcher in 8th, and Anthony McCurry in the Mazda. Last time he was scored in 14th. Might be able to get a little bit of draft off of this trio, though. Let's see if his lap time improves or not. I'm not sure if it's a case of being the last car in a pack or maybe having somebody behind you and getting draft. Not sure which combination works the best here in terms of qualifying effort. That answers that question, though. Anthony McCurry now 8th on the board, 35.808. Kyle Matthews, top of the board, 35.476. Looks like with the rubber laid down and everything here, maybe not as much grip for these drivers, because we're 5 minutes remaining. We're just now seeing a driver hit the 35.4s. Remember, Cole Deaver, the fastest in Group A, ran a 35.2. So the lap times are definitely slower here in Group B. That puts Sustre down on the bubble spot in 5th. Right now, Matthews, Matt Haas, Connor Breton, Ryan Brommer, and Kyler Sustre, the Fast 5 as things currently scored. 82 of Jordan Lopez sits 15th and now drops to 17th as a couple more drivers leapfrog him. Slowest on the board right now is Nick Gunther in his Mazda, 4-time winner last season. He might be all by himself. Yeah, he's now getting some draft off of Matt McIntyre, who is 21st. So yeah, these two are not getting the benefit of draft right now to be able to improve their eventual starting track position. Maybe they can catch a group here before all is said and done. We'll have to wait and see. Destin Bolin, Dylan Young, a couple of Young Motorsports cars are back in 19th and 20th as well. I think I saw that Dylan Young was by himself. Yep, there he is. And let's see where Destin is. Oh, he's now picked up Joshua Osborne, but I think he was running quite a number of laps by his lonesome also. Nothing's changed amongst the top 5. Let's follow these two, the go or go homers in this pack. No improvement for Lopez, no improvement for Sustre. They're double wide, 3 wide in this group. That's not helping in terms of lap times, which is very beneficial for Kyler Sustre, but not beneficial for Jordan Lopez. It's like if you can get into like a group of 3, that's ideal. Seeing here groups of 4, 5 or more, then there's bigger runs and more ambition to run double and 3 wide, which does not help in terms of lap times. Right there, Zach Rogers, 0.4 of a second slower than the fastest lap he's put down. Right now, the 6 is in P6. Cody Lamas right now 8th on the board. Nowhere to go but up for the 84 out of Lama Racing, as he finished dead last week in the 500. Fastest right now on the board, Kyle Matthews, was 41st, and Matt Haas, who sits second, was 40th. So nice improvement here this week out of some drivers that really struggled in last week's race in Florida. As we are nearing a minute and a half left, not seeing much changing up amongst the top 5. Kyle Matthews maybe sweeping the board for S3 Motorsports here in round 1 of qualifying. His teammate Cole Deaver was top of the board in Group A, and right now Matthews appears to be, he'll be at top of the board in Group B. Actually, Matthews just ran the fastest lap of the entire qualifying session, so hold the phone. Matthews just ran a 35.159. That is 9/100ths faster than his teammate Cole Deaver. Ryan Brommer just ran a 35.194, jumps up to second on the board. I think those two caught this group, and that's what gave them those lap times. Both were still in the top 5, so nothing changed in terms of our top 5. Sustre still holds the 5th position. But a statement lap there for both the 87 and the 09. And I'm wondering if somebody might be able to last minute in this group jump up into the top 5. Going to focus on the 4 of Kyler Sustre here just to watch and see if his position changes, as I think this is going to potentially be either the next to lap or the last lap that these drivers will turn in this qualifying session, and we'll see if Sustre can hold on. Unless something changes, look like Jordan Lopez will be the driver going home. Rodriguez and Sustre will run for the pole and be locked into the show. This time around, oh, Sustre dropped to 7th. So he won't run for the pole. Who leapfrogged? Zach Rogers went up to 5th. Shelton went up to 6th. And Sustre will drop to 7th. So Sustre will not move on to the Fast 5, but he will be locked in to the main event. Connor Breton jumped up to 3rd, and let's see if they score this final run around here to the line. This might be the final lap of the session, for timed anyway for these drivers, and it is. And Sustre jumped up to 3rd. So now Sustre is back into the Fast 5. I think that knocks Zach Rogers out. Did anybody else advance up there, or is it going to be Matthews, Brommer, Breton, and Haas? McIntyre! Levi McIntyre jumped up to 5th. He's going to be in the Fast 5. That knocked out Matt Haas and Zach Rogers. Oh, and somebody just blew up. Matt Haas just blew up. So they're probably going to have to do an engine change on that car that is right now slated to roll off the grid tomorrow, 12th position. Session complete. Your Fast 5 moving on to the Final round of qualifying. Kyle Matthews sweeps it for S3 Motorsports in Group A and B. Ryan Brommer in second. Kyler Sustre, Connor Breton, and Levi McIntyre. They will move on to try and start from the pole tomorrow. So officially, Matthew Rodriguez and Kyler Sustre, they are the two go or go homers that will make the show. Jordan Lopez clocking in 19th. He will be going home. He will not make the show here this week at Manasas. So Cole Deaver, Reggie Fogelman, Rob Evans, Quentin Moore, Matthew Rodriguez, Kyle Matthews, Ryan Brommer, Kyler Sustre, and Connor Breton and Levi McIntyre. They are going to be the 10 drivers to run for the pole in the upcoming 5-minute final round of qualifying. Don't go away. We're bringing you coverage of that in just a moment after this quick commercial break. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Final round of qualifying here to run for the pole position at Manasas. Our fast 5 from each one of our groups in round 1. Getting set to take to the track, only 5 minutes, so you got to go out there and you got to put that lap time down quick. Also takes away the possibility that you're going to be able to get out there with a group. We'll see if somebody's going to be able to get the benefit of a draft lap or not. Matthew Rodriguez going to head out. We've got 2 of our go or go home drivers that advanced into the Fast 10. And we had 3 rookies that qualified in as well. I believe it's 3 rookies. Nope, sorry, only 2 rookies that qualified in. Kyler Sustre and Connor Breton. So Matthew Rodriguez, the Daytona 500 winner from last week. He'll make the show. This is what they need to do if they're going to keep themselves up there in the top 10 or maybe get themselves a wild card spot. It's kind of an unorthodox way of doing it, but hey, when you win the Daytona 500, I think that they're kind of within their rights to try and make every race possible. Remember, they were just going to be a part-time driver, but you got a chance of battling for a championship now after winning at Daytona. Kyler Sustre will be making his first career start tomorrow here at Manasas as well, so congratulations to him after he failed to qualify last week at Daytona. Rodriguez about to come around and put the first official lap time of round 2 on the board. And as he does that, we are already nearing the 3 minutes left mark. So, yeah, gotta put these lap times in quick as Rodriguez clocks in with a 37.771. Cole Deaver, fastest in round 1. You're not going to see the same fast lap times that you saw the 35.2 out of Deaver and the 35.1 out of Kyle Matthews back in the first round. Matt McIntyre. It's the other McIntyre, Levi McIntyre. He was 5th in Group B. Kyle Matthews here. Is anybody able to get drafted? Let's see. Connor Breton's by himself. Rob Evans by himself. Ryan Brommer by himself. Sustre still on pit road. Rodriguez might have gotten a little draft off the 89. I think he did. So, 37.477. Let's see if anybody can beat that. As I think Matthew Rodriguez might be the only one with the benefit of draft right now. Oh, hold the phone. Cole Deaver's going to have some draft here on the 24 this lap. Deaver looking to start in the front row for the 2nd straight week. He's going to get a big toe here. He's going to look to the inside of the 24. Has to lift a little bit. He's looking to beat a 4.77. Question is, can he? And to the line. 36.885. Top of the board for the Good Wrench Service Chevrolet. Reggie Fogelman, does he have enough time to get some draft off the 3 to challenge for that? Carlos Sustre about to complete his first timed lap. Same for Rob Evans. Quentin Moore, Matthew Rodriguez, 2nd and 3rd right now. Rodriguez 36.9, 37.5 for Moore. Let's see if Moore can jump up there into the 36.8s and challenge Deaver for the top spot. Yes, he can. 36.5 for Quentin Moore. He'll go to the top of the board. Rodriguez also with a 5. Jumps to second. Remember the only time Quentin Moore started from the pole position last year? He ended up going on to win. It was Tyler Gerdes, was the showcase driver in the 89 last year, and he went coast to coast pole to win at Dover. That then put Quentin Moore in the pole position, and he went on to pick up his first career victory as a result, as somebody just jumped top of the board. Rob Evans jumped top of the board. 36.436, 36.446 for Quentin Moore. So right now, Rob Evans is the current pole sitter with 20 seconds left to go. He must have caught the draft of Ryan Brommer. Let's watch Evans as he crosses the line here. No improvement, about 0.2 slower than the 36.4 that he put down. Right now, Quentin Moore sits in second. About 100 separating those two in terms of lap times, of 4.36 to a 4.46. And I think they're coming around to complete their final timed laps. I think Rob Evans may have locked up the pole position. I believe he was third of Group A Round 1. And he's about to put that 9D Creative Chevrolet out of Evans Motorsports on the pole position for tomorrow. Oh, he just improved to the 36.2, but somebody else leapfrogged him. Who was it? It was the car behind him, Ryan Brommer, 36.209 at the very last second. And just like that, what was looking to be an all-Chevy front row, a Toyota grabs the pole position. Ryan Brommer, I can't remember the last time he had a pole. And he's going to bring the Twix Toyota Camry down pit road. Auto Junction Racing will lead the field to green tomorrow here at Manasas, with Rob Evans on the outside of the front row. Those two drivers, that two-car tandem, able to produce 36.2s, 209 and 285. Quentin Moore, he'll start third. Matthew Rodriguez fourth. Reggie Fogelman will be fifth. Then it will be Cole Deaver, Kyler Sustre, Kyle Matthews, Levi McIntyre, and Connor Breton will be the top 10 starters for tomorrow's race here at Manasas. Well, thank you all for tuning into this qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give a like, subscribe to the crew today. Tomorrow, the green flag flies here at Manasas before we pack up and head to Las Vegas next week. So we'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Here comes your official starting lineup for tomorrow's race here at Manasas, and we will see you guys then, as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.